All right, evaluation. Um, this is something you've probably seen before as well, and it deals with two types of expressions that we've talked about, either numerical expressions or algebraic expressions. And basically to evaluate an expression is to find its value. Um, so depending on what expression they give us, for instance, if it's a numerical expression, different numbers with different operations, we can just solve that and come to a value. If we have an algebraic expression in an evaluation form, it's going to look like this. All right, where we've got for A, x plus y, and B, x divided by z. Now, looking at those without any instruction, those are just two statements, x plus y, or the sum of x and y, and I can't do anything with that. All I know is that they're being added together. Same with letter B, or example B, x divided by z, or the quotient of x and z. They're both variables. If I didn't know anything else, I couldn't really do much with that except for know what's happening. Now, for this particular example, however, they're telling us to evaluate each expression for x equals 8, y equals 5, and z equals 4. Now, this might seem silly to bring up, but that does not mean that in the future x is always going to be 8 for us, or y is always going to be 5, or z is always going to be 4. Variables can change, and it might, like I said, it might seem silly to bring that up, but I've had this happen before where someone said, well, we solved for x the day before, and it came out to like 2, and then the next day we solved for x again, and it came out to a different number, like 5, and the student was confused because yesterday it was 2, and then the next day it was 5. So just want to clarify that this doesn't mean that our variables x, y, and z are going to be 8, 5, and 4. They can be different things in the future, so don't be surprised when we solve for x multiple times this year and we get a lot of different answers for it because it all depends on what situation we're talking about. All right, so there's your warning. All right, okay. So x equals 8. Basically what we're going to do is substitute. So evaluation with an algebraic expression is basically like substitution. So if you want to think of it like that, you can. And they're telling us that x is 8 and y is 5. Okay? So we do 8 plus 5, and we get 13. We have found its value when x equals 8 and y equals 5. All right, we'll do the same thing for letter B. Again, I know x is 8 and z is 4. Now we have 8 divided by 4, and we get 2. Okay. Now eventually it's going to get much more difficult. These are pretty easy examples, but we'll get into some order of operations type expressions in the near future. It's going to be coming up in chapter 1. And we might run into some things that look like this instead. This is a pretty easy example too, but it's a little preview and it's a little more tricky. Let's say they give us x minus y for x equals 2, y equals negative 3. And this can trip people up sometimes because we have to put in a negative for something that's being subtracted. So x is 2, so this will be 2 minus negative 3. And we end up going up to 5. So we add the opposite and we get a positive 5. So that's a little preview of where this is going to. And it'll get a little more tricky, but that's the basis of it. And this will just be an introduction / review, because I know you've seen some of this before too. But we're headed in we'll keep building more complex directions. So, all right, that's all I've got for you on this one.